All right, ladies and gentlemen, of course, welcome to another episode of the Victorious Ones podcast. Once again, I go by the name of King Von Jr. Of course, you can follow me on social media, all the different, of course, if you're watching by way of YouTube, or as well as even on Facebook streaming, of course, all the social media handles are at the bottom on Twitter at 301 King Von Jr. And of course, you can follow the show's Twitter page at Victory Pod One. I'm on IG at Mr. King Von Jr. You can also follow the show's IG page at Victorious Ones Podcast. And so of course also write as well. Of course on WordPress as well. And of course, don't forget to get of course another thing as far as merch. Of course, don't forget about the podcast shirts at victoriousones.bigcartel.com. But of course, without further ado, I'm definitely going to go into my review of, into my review of this year's Royal Rumble. And, of course, by the way, if you're on youtube.com/Von Resper Jr. So anyway, of course, this past Saturday was a Rumble that was very royal, that involved, it was very over the top, if you will. Of course, make sure that make sure that that you have very good seating, if you will, and never leave your chair around strangers. Anyway, whatever. I'm just gonna over with the jokes. But anyway, of course, this year was a 2023 Royal Rumble. And I would say that I was thoroughly impressed. It was certainly a 180 from what we had last year. You know what I mean? As far, like when it comes from the matches to the Rumble itself, I would say I was far more impressed with this Royal Rumble than I was with last year. And like I say, from top to bottom, I say, when it comes to the match winners, now, of course, there was some filler in between. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the biggest focus for me was just as is the biggest focus in wrestling now is this bloodline cinema, this bloodline melodrama, whatever, and things like that. I'm going to that later. But of course, the Royal Rumble took place in San Antonio, Texas. Shout out to Shawn Michaels, HBK's hometown, the Alamo Dome. And I know some people that actually went to the Rumble. So of course, shout out to Janelle from Jobber Tears, as well as Danielle from Pretty Hills Pretty Hills podcast. They both went to San Antonio and actually had Shawn Michaels shirts. You know what I mean. So I thought that was pretty cool. Shout out to Brian H. Waters from Wrestling Realm and those Wrestling Girls fan club and stuff like that. Him and Queen PR from those Wrestling Girls. They both went to both went to the Royal Rumble. And of course, a shout out to Seahawk, as well, for being there and just their impact and presence when it comes to media. You know what I mean? So of course, WWE has, obviously have taken notice of that, hence why they're in the positions that they're in. But yeah, like I said, as far as the Rumble, they did not waste time when it came to this, because the show started off with the men's Royal Rumble in and of itself. And I would say that this certainly, like I see, I would say it was very impressive. For me, it was better than what I saw out of last year. Because last year, Shane McMahon won the business for himself. As far as last year's Royal Rumble, as we all know, but that's neither here nor there. So we're going to get into the main thing. So of course, I'm sorry. So of course, in order, in terms of entrance, the number one entrant was Gunther. Number two is Sheamus. I thought that was perfect that WWE did that. You know what I mean? So especially with the history that they have, with the matches they had at Clash of the Castle. So I thought it was very fitting that that they both were the first two entrants. Like I said, Gunther was number one, Sheamus number two, The Miz number three, Kofi Kingston number four, Johnny Gargano at five, Xavier Woods at six, Karrion Kross at seven, Chad Gable at eight, Drew McIntyre 9, Santos Escobar at 10, Angelo Dawkins 11, Brock Lesnar 12, Bobby Lashley 13, Baron Corbin 14, Seth Rollins 15, Otis at 16. So of course, number 17, Rey Mysterio. Unfortunately, of course, his name was crossed out because he had got injured. So of course, number 17, who passed it over instead. Number 18 is his son Dominic. 19, Elias. 20, Finn Balor. 21, Booker T. Surprise, surprise. 22, Damian Priest. Of course, when it comes to Rumble, the thing is, of course, when it comes to Rumble, you definitely have to have that legend presence in there. So I see why Booker was in there. So of course, number 22, Damian Priest. 23, Montez Ford. 24, Edge. 25, Austin Theory. 26, Omos. 27, Braun Strowman. 28, Ricochet. 29, Logan Paul, and last but not least, number 30, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Now, in order of elimination, of course, Miz was the first one. He was eliminated by Sheamus, and so so of course, Sheamus, so of course, Sheamus lasted for a while. The next elimination was Karrion Kross by Drew McIntyre. So of course, as far as that, Xavier was eliminated by Gunther. Kofi was eliminated by Gunther as well, and here's of course here's something that needs to be pointed out, is that this was the second year in a row that Kofi has been eliminated because of a botch. Last year, he missed his usual Royal Rumble spot. For those that that know what I'm talking about, every year during the Royal Rumble, Kofi always looks to do something spectacular. Something that's just as far as like a special spot, like outside the ring, where his feet don't touch the ground. Whether it's like bouncing with the chair, jumping off the barricade, things like that. All these different special Royal Rumble spots, and so Kofi's been one of the best Rumble entrants that has never won the Rumble. But of course, last year he botched and and got eliminated prematurely. This year there was another botch. So so I'm hearing that apparently he's apparently has something to do with an injury or something like that. So I got to see why that, but it just feels like very sort of concerned. Something just doesn't feel right when when Kofi isn't able to do his typical Rumble spots and do what he does best. So of course that's two eliminations for Gunther. So Gunther eliminated both members of the New Day. Escobar was eliminated by Lesnar. Dawkins eliminated by Lesnar as well. Chad Gable also eliminated. So Brock had 3 straight eliminations right before getting eliminated by Bobby Lashley. So Lesnar only lasted 3 minutes this whole time this year. Of course, let me so of course, before Baron Corbin got, another thing to point out is before, just as Baron Corbin was making his way to the ring, he had gotten attacked by Lesnar. So so of course, what Seth, so of course what Seth Rollins did was he made sure that Corbin got eliminated properly, and so of course Seth eliminated him himself. So Lashley goes on to eliminate Rollins, and that was a big surprise. I think it was, of course, there was a huge disappointment about the fact that Seth did not last longer in the Rumble. Seth was one of my final four picks to be in the Rumble. So I want to say it was Cody, Seth, Lashley. It might have been Lesnar or something like that. I forgot. Like exactly like who I had as far as like as far as like pretty much as far as like the final four for the Rumble, but Seth had a premature exit. Of course, at the hands of Bobby. Otis gets eliminated, but of course, Otis gets eliminated by Sheamus. Elias gets eliminated by McIntyre. Of course, Gargano gets eliminated by Finn Balor. Booker T gets eliminated by Gunther. So by this point, Gunther had 3 eliminations. Montez Ford gets eliminated by Damian Priest, and it was a very surprise elimination to the point where Bianca's parents were giving Montez a side eye, like, dude, you had one job. You know what I mean? And what I mean. So as far as that, especially Bianca's dad, like he really gave Montez a stink eye on that one. So of course, Damian Priest gets eliminated by Edge. Of course, with that Judgment Day history, Finn Balor goes on to get eliminated by Edge. Edge, so of course, yes, so like I'm sorry, so of course, that's 2 Judgment Day members are eliminated by Edge. Edge surprisingly gets eliminated by Dominic, but at the same time, that was because of assistance from the Judgment Day. So so of course that's why Edge was eliminated. Omos, the Giant Omos, was eliminated by his now arch rival Braun Strowman. Yeah, so of course Omos was eliminated by Strowman. Sheamus lasts for a while. He eventually gets eliminated by Gunther, so that's Gunther's 4th elimination on record. McIntyre also gets eliminated by Gunther, so that's 5. And the thing is, Gunther went the distance in this match. It was absolutely incredible. I was surprised that Dominic lasted as long as he did. You know what I mean? If anything, I wish he would have, been taken out much sooner. You know what I mean? But so as far as that, but like I said, Gunther had become, almost like an Iron Man in this Rumble. You know what I mean? So it's very, very impressive, and also especially considering how impressive his IC title run has been. You know what I mean? So of course, both Sheamus and McIntyre get eliminated by Gunther. Dominic finally gets eliminated by Cody. Braun gets eliminated by Cody as well. Ricochet gets eliminated by Austin Theory. Theory gets eliminated by Cody as well. So Cody has 3 eliminations under his belt at this point. What was it? So as far as that, let me see. Actually, you know what? So, like I said, sorry about that. Let me start. Let me go and backtrack. So at this point, Seth Rollins has 2 eliminations under his belt, and so of course, actually near the end, like I said, near the end, Seth Rollins gets eliminated by Logan Paul, surprisingly, of all people. But of course, at the same time, of course, a shout out to Logan Paul because he's been growing by leaps and bounds. You know what I mean? Especially when you look at, especially when you look at the match they had with Roman at Crown Jewel back in November. But but like I said, so as far as that, Seth Rollins gets eliminated by Logan Paul. Eventually, Cody eliminates Logan, so that's his 4th elimination, and now it's down to the final 2. Cody and Gunther, and this is certainly, for me, goes down as one of the best Rumble finales that I've seen in a while. You know what I mean? Probably since like Drew eliminating Lesnar. Obviously, even that, even that, or since like when Bianca and Rhea were the last 2 in the Women's Royal Rumble. So like I said, this was absolutely incredible. It was amazing. And so Cody, of course, goes on to eliminate Gunther and become the winner of the Royal Rumble, even though he was number 30. So I think that was a big point of contention for a lot of people, was the fact that Cody won after being after being the last guy in the Rumble. Especially when we talk about outlasting 29 other people, but it's just like, dude, you were the last one in there. But at the same time, hey, if anything, I'm glad that he won. And what I mean. I mean, because excuse me, like I said, like if anything, I couldn't really think of anybody else who had that much momentum, or really had, if not at least that much momentum and really had that much to fight for. And of course, a lot of people will talk about Seth Rollins versus Roman, but at the same time, it's just like we've seen that before. We really haven't seen anything, as it pertains to Cody, especially since since he just got back with WWE. What I mean? So I would say, just give it a change of pace, especially since Cody and Seth have already had their rivalry, even though Cody beat him in a sweep. But I think it's just a way to change course. So especially since this is Cody's redemption story, of course, with him coming back from injury, so I would see, as to why he won it. So I'm not mad about it at all. So the winner for the 2023 Royal Rumble, and the guy who gets the point to the sign and headed to Hollywood, is Cody Rhodes. Cool. So after that, this is where what I like to call the palate cleanser, where we have Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight in the pitch black Mountain Dew match, the glow in the dark match. You know what I mean? So pretty much so I'll say this it's one of those things where after you come off, I'll say, after you come off such a major high from the Rumble match, you have to have something that's some type of filler. So this was the filler match. But it's just like, it was just like so weird. I guess it was more so of like a Bray Wyatt gimmick match. I mean, it's just like, it's like whatever, what I mean? So of course, it was tailor made for Bray to win it. So obviously Bray Wyatt wins. But I think like the funniest moment of this whole match was at the very end when Uncle Howdy came out, and he was aiming for LA Knight as he jumped off, but he completely missed. I'm like, what in the world is this? You know what I mean? So it was just like, just unintentional comedy. You know what I mean? So it's just, I mean, like after it was over, I just couldn't stop laughing. You know what I mean? So if anything, I guess that was their so since the Rumble's on Saturdays, I guess they gotta find some type of comedy, since the same night as SNL. So I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? And plus WWE's, plus the Royal Rumble's on Peacock, same network, same streaming network as SNL. So it's just like, I guess that was their comedy relief. You know what I mean? So so if anything, I was just like that. If anything, that was like one of the lower graded matches. So if anything, I'll give the belt grade later. So if anything, I would say that was a dud, followed by Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. Of course, going to this, Alexa, was trying to make herself out to be like this major ultimate threat for Bianca. Someone that Bianca should fear. Whatever, come on now. I don't care what type of superpowers you claim to have, whatever, but come on now, like side by side, Bianca would rip her in half. And so, like, so as far as this match, it was just like, I mean, it just ended so fast. I mean, they just breezed through that like so quickly. And what I mean? So it's just like, let's just move on, just move on with this, just get this out the way, put everybody out of their misery. You know what I mean? So if anything, it's going to show that Bianca and Alexa don't exactly have the best chemistry. So if anything, by Bianca standards, with all due respect, I would say this match to me was kind of a dud. Even though even though Bianca's had a string of banger after banger after banger in the catalog, ever since becoming the women's champion. Whether it was the SmackDown Women's Champion, especially when it comes to her time as the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca has been absolutely on fire. But this one right here, put that in the other file. You might as well put this match in the spam file. It really just move on, and you act like it never happened. So is I guess almost like the vibes I was getting from Ronda versus Shotzi over at War Games. And of course my thing is I don't like to spend too much time on stuff I don't like. That's the thing about this podcast. So of course I would say like this. If anything, I would say that this feels like more like a one and done in terms of this feud. If anything, Bianca's dominance, if you will. But of course, after that, now it's time to go into more important matters, and this would be the women's Royal Rumble match. So of course, after the only women's title match on this card, we move on to the women's Rumble, where the winner can decide what title they want to compete for. So, so of course, without further ado, of course, without further ado, here are the listings for the entrance of the Royal Rumble in order. Number 1, Rhea Ripley. Number 2, Liv Morgan. Number 3, Dana Brooke. Number 3, Dana Brooke. Number 4, Emma. 5, Shayna Baszler. 6, Bayley. 7, B-Fab. 8, Roxanne Perez. 9, Dakota Kai. 10, Io Sky. 11, Natalya. 12, Candice LeRae. 13, Zoe Stark. 14, Xia Li. 15, Becky Lynch. 16, Tegan Knox. 17, Asuka / Kana. 18, Piper Nevin. 19, Tamina. 20, Chelsea Green. 21, Zelina Vega. 22, Raquel Rodriguez. 23, Michin. 24, Lacey Evans. 25, Michelle McCool. 26, Indy Hartwell. 27, Sonya Deville. 28, Shotzi. 29, Nikki Cross. And number 30, surprise return of Nia Jax. So, as I did before with the men's Royal Rumble, I'm going to go into the eliminations as follows. B-Fab was of course B-Fab was the first woman to get eliminated. The first elimination, of course, in this match at the hands of Rhea Ripley. Dana Brooke goes on to get eliminated by Bayley. Emma gets eliminated by Dakota Kai. Roxanne Perez gets eliminated by Bayley as well. So that's 2 eliminations for Bayley. Shayna Baszler gets eliminated by Io Sky. Natalya gets eliminated by Dakota Kai as well. So that's 2. Candice LeRae gets eliminated by Dakota. So that's 3. Tegan Knox gets eliminated by Asuka. Chelsea Green also gets eliminated by Rhea Ripley. Dakota Kai eventually gets eliminated by Becky Lynch. Io gets eliminated by Becky as well. So both of Damage Control get eliminated by Becky before Bayley eliminates Becky herself. And of course, this further escalates the feud that they have. So of course, at this point, Bayley has 3 eliminations. Bayley, of course, Bayley surprisingly gets eliminated by Liv Morgan. Xia Li gets eliminated by Zelina Vega. Tamina gets eliminated by Michelle McCool. So of course, Tamina gets eliminated by Michelle McCool. Zoe Stark gets eliminated by Sonya Deville. Zelina, so of course, Zelina gets eliminated by Lacey Evans. Thumbs down. Indy Hartwell gets eliminated by Sonya Deville as well. Nia Jax gets eliminated by Rhea Ripley. Nia actually got jumped by everybody. That was more like a group elimination when it came to Nia. So so as far as that, Lacey Evans gets eliminated by Raquel Rodriguez. Sonya Deville also gets eliminated by Asuka. Michelle McCool gets eliminated by Rhea. Shotzi gets eliminated by Michin. Michin gets eliminated by Piper Niven. Piper Niven gets eliminated by Raquel. Raquel gets eliminated by Rhea, so it's Rhea's fifth elimination at this point. Nikki Cross gets eliminated by Liv Morgan, so it's Liv's second elimination. Asuka gets eliminated by Rhea Ripley, so that's number 6. And the final two were Rhea and Liv, with Rhea eventually eliminating Liv herself. And your winner for the Women's Royal Rumble is Rhea Ripley. And so, of course, when it comes to the men's and women's Royal Rumbles, this past Monday, they both decided who the, of course, they both decided who they will go after. When it comes to the men's side, it's obvious, that there's only one guy holding both belts. So, of course, Cody set his sights on the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and Rhea Ripley. First, I thought she was going to go after Bianca, but in a big swerve, which storyline purposes actually fits better at this point. Rhea sets her sights on Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title, and for me, that's that's actually a great move because of the fact that the SmackDown Women's division has been depleted for a while, for quite some time. That's why Charlotte made her return, and and really just shot just gave it the shot in the arm that they needed. You know what I mean? So Charlotte was the needle that the needle in the arm that SmackDown needed. If anything, Charlotte came back to resuscitate the SmackDown women's division like a defibrillator. You know what I mean? So as far as that, as far as that, just to resuscitate it, give it new life. And of course, just because of Charlotte's greatness, her marquee value, if anything, that raises the profile of the SmackDown Women's title. And so of course, considering her previous history with Rhea, that only makes sense, especially since this is now Rhea's time. This is her redemption arc, her redemption story. So even though she has the Judgment Day affiliation, I think it's very important for her to branch out and just right the wrongs from the past, during the times where she was a women's champion. But now I think that this is at a point where she's really, really in the best position possible to carry things even further as a women's champion. So looking back on it, initially I said that was like the ultimate swerve, but as I think about it now, at least from a storyline standpoint, it really makes sense. And so now, initially, I said, like, initially, I know that there are a lot of people that raise questions about Bianca's opponent for WrestleMania, and that wasn't until Bianca gave that it wasn't until Bianca gave that promo after Raw, even though her segment was cut. Whole nother story. But during during Bianca's access promo, whatever, as far as that, as far as as far as that segment that was cut or whatever, Bianca did announce that the Elimination Chamber, there would be a 6-woman Elimination Chamber match to determine who would be the number 1 contender for her Raw Women's title at WrestleMania. So, at this, so at this point, like it's like whoever wins the Royal Rumble, as soon as they choose their opponent, then the women's champion who wasn't selected for Mania will go on to face the winner of the Elimination Chamber. So, if the SmackDown Women's Champion was not chosen as the WrestleMania opponent, then they will wait for they'll wait for the winner of the Elimination Chamber to challenge them at WrestleMania. You know, so if the Women's Royal Rumble winner so that means so that means if the Women's Royal Rumble winner chooses to go after the Raw title, so pretty much automatically set in stone. That they're going to go out. They're going to go after the Raw title at WrestleMania, which leaves things open for the SmackDown Women's Champion, vice versa. That type of thing. So because Rhea chose Charlotte as her opponent for WrestleMania, Bianca goes with the next best thing. So she she would face the winner of the Elimination Chamber. So I think that's the big reason why they have the Elimination Chamber. So it's kind of like it's I'll say like it's pretty much it's pretty much for I guess it's like pretty much like like alternative to I want to say alternative to the Royal Rumble, but it gives another option, for whoever the other. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into all that, all complicated. But but the thing is, for those of us who follow WWE, like you already know what this is all about. So anyway, since Rhea chose Charlotte as a WrestleMania opponent, Bianca is going to face whoever wins the Elimination Chamber. So that way, she would have her own clear-cut WrestleMania opponent. So that makes sense. So of course, congratulations once again to Rhea Ripley for winning the Women's Royal Rumble. So this is her way of settling very unfinished business against Charlotte. I'm here for it, especially considering the fact that Charlotte, I don't care what anybody thinks about her. I don't care who your favorite is, whatever, yada, yada, yada. For this era, Charlotte is the gold standard. She is the standard. She is the measuring stick that all the other women are measured by. Now, the thing is, Charlotte is like I said, I'm sorry. Charlotte is not only the standard that they're measured by. To paraphrase her dad, Charlotte is a measuring stick herself. With all due respect to Bianca Belair, but when you think about consistently over a longer period of time, because Charlotte has accomplished more. Her name, like I said, she has, her name value is still larger. So this point, like because of the fact that because of the fact that Charlotte has outpaced Bianca and so many others, like I said, just because of Charlotte's longevity, her experience, her pedigree, everything like that. So like I said, when you talk about the definitive women's wrestler of our modern generation, where as far as that's concerned, Charlotte is at the top of the top. And in fact, Bianca knows it herself. That's why at War Games, when asked the question, pretty much who is your what's your goal or dream opponent or whatever. Bianca said, I know, Bianca's two goals were to main event WrestleMania again and to face Charlotte Flair. Those were Bianca's top two goals that she gave out at that Survivor Series press conference. Main event WrestleMania again and to face Charlotte, because she knows that Charlotte is the final boss. So with Rhea, um, she has unfinished business with Charlotte herself, and so this is going to be her litmus test. And a win over Charlotte would be the biggest. Excuse me, would be the biggest notch on her belt. Really, winning over Charlotte would be the biggest notch on anybody's belt. But in this case, because this is Rhea's time, this is Rhea's season. Rhea's redemption arc. I'm looking forward to it. So like when Charlotte first faced Rhea, Rhea was very inexperienced, very green, but now Rhea's been drawing comparisons to China. Rhea is like in her like kaiju form at this point. You know what I mean? And so as far as Rhea, out of anybody who warrants those China comparisons, and the thing is, I don't really entertain the China comparisons with everybody, especially when it comes to Beth Phoenix, to be honest. But I would say out of everybody that I've seen thus far, Rhea to me really fits that mold. And this coming from somebody who has gone on record to say that China, in my estimation, is the greatest women's wrestler of all time, most dominant women's wrestler of all time. And so I'm willing to I'm willing to throw to bring up that comparison similarities when it comes to Rhea. And as I've said before, I'm one of the biggest China marks fans of all time, whatever. And the thing is, I have no problem when it comes to I have no problem when it comes to like the China analogy or whatever. So so as far as that, so of course as far as that, and the thing about it is that she's certainly the muscle when it comes to Judgment Day. She's just as critical to Judgment Day as like Rhea is to Judgment Day what China was to DX. Even though DX was far better, I'm not saying Rhea is on par with China or anything like that. But this, I'm just saying at the same time, when you look at Rhea's trajectory, when it comes to the modern day era of wrestling, especially when it comes to women's wrestling, Rhea is someone who really, really fits that bill. So as far as that, as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, like even after the Royal Rumble, when Rhea, I guess, if as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, after, like, so I think it was like after the Royal Rumble, as Rhea was being interviewed, somebody brought up how Kofi said that he thinks that Rhea should contend for the IC title. As we all know, China has been an Intercontinental Champion herself. So even Kofi sees the parallels, you know what I mean? So, and there's no denying it whatsoever at this point. But of course, last but not least, not to belabor any longer, of course, last but not least is the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match, the main event. What this has been all about, other than the Rumble matches themselves, but this is the moment that we've all been waiting for. Hence, that's why I'm wearing this Bloodline shirt. Roman Reigns versus Sammy's BFF, Kevin Owens. And this match was incredible. It was entertaining. It was very much story driven. A major melodrama, if you will. You know what I mean? And just like I say, like I said, this match was absolute classic. When, like I said, not just from the in-ring competition side, but just the storytelling side when it comes to the, like I said, like when it comes to like the theatrics, when it comes to the melodrama of this match and everything that's connected with it, and so this was Sammy's final test, if you will. And so, I mean, anytime Roman and KO are in the ring, something special always comes up. And this match was no different. You know, um, obviously the tribal chief goes on to win, but um, it was like I said, it was a like it was just cinema. You know, this match was very cinematic without it being uh, a quote unquote cinematic match, like Taker's Boneyard match or Bray Wyatt's like Funhouse match or whatever. This was a cinematic match in and of its the cinematic cameras and everything like that. Um, so and just to see how conflicted that Sammy was in this match during this match, and just how much Kevin Owens has been trying to convince Sami Zayn that the Bloodline are not his real brothers, they're not his real family, and the fact that and of course goes back even to Survivor Series War Games when Sammy betrayed his longtime best friend, his dance partner. He betrayed him all in the name of the Bloodline. To the point where that moment was nominated for my VIP wrestling award for moment of the year, because it was a complete blindside, and the fact that Sammy showed that he was willing to take that bullet for the name of the Bloodline, for the name in the name of Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. He was willing to do all of that, backstab his closest friend that he's known for years and years since Ring of Honor, and they're both from Quebec. They're both Canadians. So he betrayed, he backstabbed his fellow Canadian, all in the name of the Bloodline, but I think everybody already knew that there was going to come a breaking point where eventually something was going to give, and Sammy was not going to be there forever. And this match was certainly it. Of course, Roman goes on to win, but the big focus is about what happens after the match, where KO gets handcuffed to the rope, by Roman, and as Roman is getting as Roman is getting ready to deliver the final blow, Sammy steps in and says, "Stop. You've done enough. He's been through enough already." And that took Roman by surprise. That took everybody by surprise. I mean, to the point where everybody was happy for Sammy, cheering for Sammy, that he finally stood up. But it really just goes all downhill from there, because Roman's rage erupts like never before, and he gets all up in Sammy's face, screaming in his face, "Do it, do it, do it, take him out, take him out," like all that type of stuff, pretty much like just letting them know that without the Bloodline, you still be doing Johnny Knoxville jackass stuff type of thing, type of stuff, what I mean? Like, and just reminding him of that. It's like somebody reminding you, like, if it wasn't for me, you'd be nothing, all that type of stuff. That's why I got out of that. Roman basically telling Sammy, without me, you'd be a nobody. Without me, you wouldn't be having the luxuries that you're having right now. Without me, without my, without this Bloodline, without this dynasty, you would not be in the lap of luxury that you are right now. You would not be having these opportunities, these benefits that you're getting right now. Without us, you'd be irrelevant. Without us, he'd be having matches, with Johnny Knoxville, Wee Man, and all this other, like, super crazy MTV weirdo stuff, whatever. You know, without us, you'd still be looking like some weird, crazy conspiracy theorists. Stuff like that. As far as that's concerned. So initially, Sammy's Sammy showing his allegiance to the Bloodline at War Games. Initially, it made sense because of the fact that I think we all know that if the tables were turned, KO would have done the same thing. So now this turns Kevin Owens into more of a sympathetic figure. And so, of course, fast forwarding as Roman, gives Sammy the chair. Initially, Sammy raised the chair, but then Roman turns around. Just as it looked like Sammy was about to swing on Roman. So initially, Roman turns around, looks at him, just to see that he hasn't pulled nothing crazy. So this time, when Roman completely turns his back and is not expecting Sammy to do anything, just when you least expect it, Sammy blasts him in the back of the chair. And it was shades of what Seth Rollins did to break up the Shield. I mean, it was a mirror image of that all over. It was, like I said, it was Seth Rollins betrayal all over, and so of course, at that time the fans were angry because Seth did that, and so if anything, they're on Roman's side when that happened. This time, fans were chanting "F you Roman, F you Roman," Roman sucks, all this other type of stuff, and so Heyman, the Usos, everybody, was just, like I said, they're just completely blindsided, be like, of course, just completely taken up, just completely caught off guard, and then Jimmy super kicks Sammy, and this is when Sammy gets annihilated, just gets pummeled, just gets completely destroyed. Solo hits Sammy with a spike, boom. You know what I mean? And of course, this is when, so of course, this when the Bloodline, just completely had their assault on Sammy and just, like I said, and just annihilate him. And this was the end of Sammy's run with the Bloodline, to the point where Roman rips the shirt off of Sammy, same way that Jay ripped the shirt off of Sammy when Roman gave Sammy that when Roman gave Sammy that honorary Uso shirt. It was just like that, And when Jay did that, that was his PTSD, that just like that past anger, just flaring up, to the point where it looked like Jay wanted to kill Sammy. When he ripped that shirt off. And same thing with Roman. But Jay was in the corner. He was like, I don't want no part of it. And to the point where Jay rolled out of the ring and just left. And then later on IG, he left a caption that said, "I'm out." And the thing is, I feel like, see the thing about it is that this is what I've been talking about with others. Shout out to Mimi from Black Wrestling and Turnbuckle Talk, and everything like that. And it's so, like, and the thing is, like, whenever we have our Twitter spaces, this is something that we go into so much detail about, like, constantly. That we've been following this Bloodline series, this Bloodline drama from here on out, and just seeing how intense this storyline plays out. And I've said this before, this storyline, this Bloodline storyline has, it's got Spike Lee, Francis Ford Coppola, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, all in one. This story has their um, fingerprints on it, like all together, and you could definitely see that, and you could definitely see, especially when it comes to how conflicted Jay is, you know, and the thing about it is that um, when he saw Sammy, when he saw Sammy get assaulted like that, I'm pretty sure it triggered his PTSD to when he was abused by Roman. Because the fact that because of the fact that out of everybody, Jay's the main one who was on the receiving end of Roman's abuse when he got initiated into the bloodline. Jimmy never had to go through that. Solo never had to go through that. Heyman certainly never had to go through that. Only time Heyman caught one on the chin was during that Brock Lesnar storyline, where Heyman temporarily uh, betrayed the bloodline and temporarily sided with Lesnar, and Roman gave him the hug and said, and said, Heyman, you're fired. Of course, and of course, right after that, Roman turns around, nails him with a Superman punch, but eventually, Heyman proves his true allegiance to the bloodline, and so as far as that, and of course, but outside that, Jey Uso has been the one who's dealt with the most mental, physical, just the most like emotional abuse from Roman. So it's just like, and the thing is, initially, Jay didn't even want Sammy in the bloodline, so he's looking at it like, so I'll say it like this. So I'll say it like this. If anything, if I'm Jay, I'm looking at like, I got tricked into letting this guy into our group. I got tricked into believing that let me start. It's just like it's just like if I'm Jay, I'm looking at like out of everybody, I had to go through the most in order to get accepted, but yet you roll out the red carpet, but yet when it comes to a guy like Sammy, you roll out the red carpet for him, and you force me to believe that that he's truly family, all this other type of stuff or whatever, and so and of course, during that beatdown, you can hear Jimmy yelling, "You think it's your brother? This not this is your family. We're your family. We're your real brothers." Stuff like that. And of course, I think it was like right before Jay rolled out the ring. And so because of the fact that like I said, because of the fact that Jay's initial PTSD was triggered, he was like, you know what, I can't even participate in this anymore. And so now we're just looking at the direction of the bloodline moving forward. So I would say that it's ultimately going to boil down to Roman and Jay. Everybody else are just added layers, added pieces, but the central figures of this whole thing are Roman and Jay. And Jay knows that Roman is the tribal chief. Jay knows that Roman is ahead of the table. Jay knows that Roman is at the top of the mountain. He knows that. It's not his place, and I don't think it is that I don't think that Jay's whole mission is to take over as a tribal chief, to usurp Roman's power and things like that. He just wants Roman to respect him. I think at the end of the day, all Jay wants is respect. You know, um, so it's going to be very fascinating to see how this unfolds going into WrestleMania, because of the fact that Cody won the Rumble. So this might be like a 2-night thing for Roman. And the plans were that if Dwayne didn't show up, or The Rock, if The Rock, if anything, I guess one of the plans was, if The Rock wasn't available, then Roman would wrestle on both nights. But if The Rock were available, then then Roman would just have night 2. So at this point, I'm thinking that it's going to be a 2-nighter for Roman, because at some point they're going to have to split up those belts. Something's going to give. Roman's going to lose one of those titles, and Sammy's, and plus apparently, plus apparently, it's going to be Roman and Sammy Elimination Chamber in Montreal. I mean, see, type of Samoan screw job. So it'll be great to see Roman give Sammy a sharpshooter in Montreal, just to add an extra layer to that heel heat. Why not? I'm all for it. But the thing about it is that, like I said, it's just in closing. I don't want to sound like I'm rambling or anything like that, but I'll say in conclusion. Let me start from. I'll say like this. In conclusion, I like the direction of this Royal Rumble. I like the direction that WWE is taking during this WrestleMania season, and hopefully moving forward, of how they're betting on themselves, how they're betting on who they have on their immediate roster right now, rather than relying on nostalgic names. So initially, I'm not gonna lie, I'll say it like this: I'm not gonna lie. Initially, I was a tad disappointed about the news about The Rock not showing up, or rather, about the fact that The Rock didn't even show up to the Royal Rumble period. But they made the most out of that situation, and they turned it into complete gold. So the thing is, even though they didn't have the nostalgia factor of having a legend, an icon like The Rock be a part of the storyline, they improvised and used what they had, and they've been making something special out of it. Even without the great one, even without the Brahma Bull. But at the same time, I'm not gonna completely cancel out that possibility. You know what I mean? So who knows? Maybe after Mania, The Rock might show up, and that could, I'll say like this: maybe after right after Mania, The Rock will show up, and that could set the course for a Roman versus Rock match at Mania next year in Philadelphia, the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania, and it'll be full circle with The Rock and Roman having a match, having a WrestleMania match in Philadelphia, the same place where Roman got booed out of the building after he won the Royal Rumble, in Philadelphia, with The Rock raising his arm. So I mean, there's so many different layers when it comes to storytelling. I mean, the possibilities speak for themselves. So as far as my belt grade, I would give it about 8.5. Ruthless Aggression WWE title, WWE title belts. So as far as that, that would be my belt grade when it comes to that. You know what I mean? And plus, this was the most watched Royal Rumble in history, as is gone on record. So so if anything, as I said, so if anything, this Royal Rumble was absolutely incredible. They made the most with what they had, and and it exceeded expectations. So with that, with that being said, that is my Royal Rumble review. Thank you very much for watching.